Hello, and thank you for being here. I am Shannon Stott, one of the co-creators, along with Lauren Burning of Creative Approach. And you are here today, right now, after sitting through a wonderful panel. And now we get one more. Is language limiting your communication? So one of the amazing things about this panel is that we will have Angie Moline doodling throughout the panel. So Goma Dango, if you would come back up and say hello and introduce them, that would be lovely. Have a wonderful experience.
Thank you so much, Shannon. And thank you so much, Katie, for helping us out during today's panel. Really, really appreciate it. ありがとうございました。よろしくお願いいたします。Translate that, Katie. Anyway, my name is Goma Dango. It's lovely to see you all today. I am a drag performer here in Tokyo, Japan, and I also do improv with tigers. No, I don't do improv with tigers. My name is not, what's her name? Carol, I forget. The lady with the tigers from the Tiger King. Anyway, let's forget about that. I do improv with Pirates of Tokyo Bay as well. So I do stuff in the drag world and I do stuff in the improv world as well. And Carol Baskin, that's who it is. It just came to me. All right, fabulous. I'm ready to go. So yeah, I'm really excited to see everyone tonight. And I would like to bring everyone else to the stage so I can give a little introduction about who we're going to see today. So come on to the stage. I'm just going to spin around in my triangle background if you don't come to the stage already. Oh my God. Okay, so let's say hello to Angie first. So Angie is here on the stage, and then coming up next is also Anne Rob. And then I will confirm my pronunciation with you later. And then I believe we also have King Wang with his puppets in the back. I love it. Awesome. So today's panel, if you don't already know, I had to confirm myself several times. Today's panel is called, Is Language Limiting Your Communication? In today's masterclass, we're going to be, no, fuck that shit, no. So we want to know is going to be limiting your communication. So basically, just talking about language and stuff like that. But let's get to know our panelists because that is the most important thing so far. So let's say hello to Angie Moline. She is a graphic, I think she's signing in from America today. And she actually, if you don't know what a graphic facilitator is, same as me, because I was like, cute, don't know what that is. And actually, she helps people think through their ideas by doodling with them and making it into kind of a graphic language, which is kind of interesting. She usually does black and white images only, but apparently she will also use color for an additional $8.99. So Angie, drop your Venmo and PayPal below, please. Thank you. Angie, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you, Goma?
Doing fabulous and trying to keep my natural hair out of my face today.
It's always a struggle. I hear you.
Always a struggle, absolutely. All right, so moving on, we also have Anne Raab down below. And Anne Raab is an actor from Germany. And she actually, you may not know this, but she holds the world record for the number of facial expressions able to be expressed in 5 seconds. And I'm going to let her show you why she holds that record. So here we go. Ready, set, 5.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm so excited to be here, but I'm not very sad about it. So hi, welcome. And I'm so excited for the panel.
Thank you so much, Anna. I loved it. Anna also just performed with Mutus. I think it was about an hour ago on the Creative Approach Summit. And it was a really interesting show that absolutely connected with what we're talking about today because they didn't use language the entire exhilarating performance. So that was quite cool. And I think she might bring that up later on as well. And last but not least, we have King Wang signing in from Hong Kong tonight. And King Wang, actually, he's a puppeteer. And something quirky about him is that he actually speaks only through puppets the majority of his day, especially when he's on the phone. That's more of like a personal fetish for him, but that's just what I've heard. So King Wang, hi. You're right. He needs to get the voice out actually through the fist into the mouth. Yeah.
Hey, how are you? This is King Wong, and I'll let him speak.
So kind. King Wong, are you able to speak right now?
Yep. It works now for some reason.
Oh, thank God, thank God. Once the head just goes back in the shell, the natural voice just comes out, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I hate when that happens. Oh God, can you introduce us to who we're talking to today? Who is this little guy?
My name is Mr. Robinson. I am a shellfish. Ha! I'm joking. I'm a turtle. And I'll let him speak. So yeah, it's my turn now, and here goes to rest.
Fabulous. I really love how your turtle wasn't named like Bobby, but he went with his surname of Mr. Robinson. He's a very formal turtle.
Yeah, he is.
I really
he
enjoyed
is.
that.
He had his own passport as well. That's why.
All right, fabulous. So we've met our lovely panelists today, and we'll be here being helped by Katie as well. And I just wanted to let you guys know that today's panel is all about language and how we choose to either utilize it or ignore it, when we're all together and communicating with others. And all of us here today on the panel work and perform in multilingual environments. So that is the thread that kind of holds us together. And I'm sure we will all have a myriad of different experiences, complaints, hopes, desires, and stuff like that when it comes to international and cross-cultural communications. So also, as Shannon said earlier, if anyone is watching or has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat because that's where we like it. And you don't have to wear a condom to put it in the chat. So that's the good part about that. Hey, are any kids watching? No? Fantastic. Awesome. So let's get things rolling with a quick but very extremely important question in the international community right now. I would like to know, what is the last photo saved on your smartphone's camera roll? And if you are so brave, to please share it with us. I would like to get started with King.
Actually, it was. I don't have my phone with me now, but actually, it was a photo. It's this morning section that I actually screen capped myself on my MacBook.
King, I totally understand. I was telling Lauren earlier, I took about 500 selfies before this started because when a ring light is out, I'm ready. So I totally understand how you feel. Let's move on to Anne. I'm sorry. Should I pronounce your name Anne, Anna, Anne? What would you like?
Anna is great.
Anna is great.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So Anna, tell us about your smartphone. What do you got for us?
I also, my last picture is also a screenshot of our online show an hour ago.
Everyone does it.
Yeah, it's just a screenshot.
Yes. So we have today's panel is full of a bunch of selfish narcissists who are going to talk about how good they look on their Sony vlog cameras today. Fabulous. Oh yeah, she's looking fabulous. Her eyebrows are snatched. Yes, thank you, Anna. And let's talk about Angie. Tell us about your smartphone.
So the last photo that I took is not actually of me, I'm sorry, but I'm in Tucson, Arizona, and I was hiking along a trail yesterday, and I was seeing all these prickly pears that look like hearts. And so I took a picture. I don't know if you can, can you see? Oh dear.
Yeah, when you put it in front of your body, we can see it.
Camera.
Yeah.
There you go. Can you see the little heart? That's the last photo on my iPhone.
Oh my gosh, that's super cute. If I had a nickel for every time I took a picture of a prickly pear, I would be on, I'd be on welfare. Okay. So guys, thank you so much for joining the panel today, and let's get it started. The first question that I'd like to start off with is a question for everyone. I would like you to possibly tell us about a time where you had to solve a problem without using any viable language. Maybe it's a problem in the workplace or just, getting around. And how did you get through that problem without using any language? So the order is up to you. Please speak freely. Go ahead. I'm going to choose because I feel like a third grade teacher. So I would like to hear from Anne.
Well, I didn't experience like a big problem or something on Workspace. It's more like the problem of me improvising in English because I'm not good with words. That's because why I do body language courses, why I do improv with no words. And so I find there sometimes are problems because I don't know the language very well of my partners who are playing with. And then I choose just to don't speak and just show it with my body.
Wow. So, Anna, you are very, very good at body language and you choose to use your body. Have you ever used this in a romantic sense, like on a first date?
Yes.
Oh, maybe we'll hear more about that in the chat or at the coffee table later on.
We will.
Everyone, please keep that in your mind. Thank you. Moving on to Angie. Have you ever come across this situation yourself?
Let's see. I would say I have had some cross-species interactions where I've had to interact with species that don't necessarily speak English as well as we do. And so yesterday I was working in my shed and a little lizard crawled in. And so we had to have an interaction that transcended language. I was doing some hammering and the lizard was doing some freaking out. And so the way that we negotiated that conversation was, there was a lot of sort of like tense moments of visual, communication where I was looking at the lizard and it was terrified looking back up at me. And ultimately the way that it resolved was the lizard just, ran away and I went about my day. So I felt like it wasn't the most effective communication that I've ever had, but it was still, meaningful in a interspecific kind of way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just really hits the heart, that kind of
Yeah,
knowledge.
usually I fall back on drawing, but I didn't necessarily feel like the lizard was going to speak drawing either. So it was really, really at a lack of words.
Okay. I was going to ask, like, if you were going to, pop out your little memo pad and just, sit down with the lizard and have a heart-to-heart and say, this is my goal. What's your goal? But
I wanted to. I wanted to facilitate the interaction, but the lizard was only like this big, and I felt like it was the memo pad was maybe just gonna take it to the next level of freak out.
Yeah, no. And his little eyes are so small. You'd have to step back so far and
small.
Okay. Yeah. Guys, the problems that we deal with on a daily basis, let me tell you. Oh, all right. Thank you, Angie. And how about yourself, King?
So I love traveling. But when I go traveling, I don't like going to like big cities. I always go to like small towns and stuff. And what happens to me all the time is that I go to these places and I want to ask directions. But clearly they don't speak my language, nor they don't speak English. And apparently I don't speak the language as well. So, and yeah, we always use kind of weird international sign language, which we don't understand each other at all. And yeah, it never really works, however.
Well, for myself, like when I first got to Japan, I couldn't speak the language at all. And so when I was trying to order something at the restaurant, I would do something similar to Angie, and I would go outside and I would take a picture with my flip clamshell phone, and I'd take a picture of the food that I wanted to eat, and then I'd sit at the table and be like, hi, and I would just point to what I wanted to eat, and that kind of helped me. So when we're traveling, I'm sure we all go through
Thanks for the tip.
very, very similar. Yeah, I don't know if I think Hong Kong is similar to Japan and other Asian cities where there are usually plastic recreations or pictures of the food outside the shop. Is that true?
Yep. We see it all like everywhere. And maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I start like capturing this food like from today. And then I have like collection, like a dictionary, basically.
Yeah, look at all this flat paper food. I just enjoy it.
Yeah,
maybe not so much. All right, cool. So I wanted to hop into some individual questions that will focus on everyone's specific backgrounds to, dive a little bit deeper into how we use or don't use language in our everyday lives. So I want to hop over to Annette, and she's. I wanted to let you know that I read your work. Oh, hold on a second. My battery is running low on my PC. It looks like it wasn't plugged in. That is smart, isn't it? Okay, and now we're plugged in. Oh, that's so good. Thank you for translating that, Katie, with so much angst in your eyes. I really appreciate that. Even I understood that one. Thank you so much. Anne, I read that you work in something that's called the silent theater in Germany, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, many of us think of someone like Charlie Chaplin when it comes to a term like silent film, but how does that differ from the genre that you work with? And are there any similarities? And do you use a mustache? 3 big questions.
Yes, I use a mustache. That's
Thought
the
so.
most important thing.
Thought so.
I draw it on myself at stage. Yeah,
Good.
that's of course. What a question.
Obviously, sorry. I'm a newbie, sorry.
But yeah, it's our first piece, our first theater piece was inspired by modern lights. It was inspired by Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton movies. And we were 4 actors, and we had a little script, and we improvised it together. And then we had 2 live musicians on stage who just improvised with us, and then there comes a whole thing out of it at the end where we don't speak at all, and all things and stuff is just happening with music. And the most amazing thing was that the audience afterwards said, we could hear you speak. We could hear you speak, even if you didn't say any words, but it was the expression in the face, it was the music, it was the sound effects, and yeah, it was just amazing. And you can play it everywhere because anywhere will understand it. That's just great.
That's so true. That kind of art form is so universal and you can bring it anywhere, which makes you very marketable, which makes you very hireable. So please be sure to advertise yourself at the end of the panel today.
I will. Thank you.
And did that idea, did that happen organically, or did you all plan to do it that way because of different languages coming together?
We planned it that way because we wanted to have a thing where we can travel anywhere we want to, and and anyone can understand us. So it was a little bit planned, and we were all fans of already doing physical stuff and pantomime stuff on improv stage. So we just found each other and created this.
Yes, that's super smart. Start with the marketing and then go on to the talent later. I love that.
Right.
Oh, I love that because I'm definitely the opposite. Can't market myself for anything. Oh, hey, by the way, please follow me on Instagram. Oh, hey, oops, sorry about that.
Wow.
Hey, King.
That's
Smooth.
amazing.
I know, horrible. So King, you are our resident puppeteer for this session, and according to your bio, you have studied Western puppetry, which I assume the majority of the world can imagine. You know, something like Sesame Street, or maybe that famous movie with David Bowie. What's that famous movie?
Is it called
Yes.
The Muppet Show?
Labyrinth or the Muppet Show as well. Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what the majority of our audience might think about. But I also read that afterwards you got really into traditional Chinese puppetry as well.
Yeah.
And so
Correct.
that might be something that's completely unknown. So could you tell us a little bit about the similarities, differences between the 2 worlds?
I think the biggest differences between the 2 worlds is that Western puppetry focus a lot on interaction with the audience. So a lot of talking, a lot of speaking, and it based on audience reaction, they bounce back. So a lot of improvisation as well. But in the Chinese puppetry, it's the completely opposite. Nothing can be improvised on stage. Everything is rehearsed. All the characters, all the gestures, the movements, the story is set. And even sometimes if you have a puppet, you cannot change the character. You cannot put the puppet into another story. So it is stuck there. However, having said that, it is so refined and so much detailed that it doesn't have to speak, or sometimes it speaks another alien language. But all the audience will understand all the details, all the tiny bits of stories, that like the emotions and stuff. And I think that's the most beautiful part of Chinese puppetry that got me into it.
Do you ever feel that, you know, having every gesture, every moment, every emotion pre-planned, do you ever feel that that holds you back from the creativity and like maybe discovering a new moment like you would in a live action play?
I think it happens to me. I feel that at the very beginning, But the thing is, once I really like get into it and really dedicate all my time, my effort to it and practice it, I realized there are so much detail that I can use for Western puppetry. So instead of just talking and speaking nonsense, I can also use different gestures for example, my turtle. And I can use it for my Mr. Robinson to play different character. Like I can go up on stage without talking. I can let the audience know the status of my character. I can let them know the gender of the character, because it could be a female.
Absolutely,
Although sometimes I use like a male, a deep low voice, but then I can play a female character for the next show, and that's something I learned. So the process is tough, because the gesture is so specific that you cannot get it wrong. There's a strong sense of right or wrong, and it's easy to get it wrong. But I think that's something remarkable for me.
But I mean, I think it's really cool that you were able to adopt something from the traditional Chinese theater and bring it to Western, and it's kind of like this toolbox that you already have. And if it translates to a wide Chinese audience, it might also translate to an international audience as well.
I think so, absolutely, because sometimes body language is like universal, and these gestures, the way of breaking down our gestures, yes, and the way of breaking down our gestures to make it become that people can link to understand what kind of character you are, what are you doing, what scenario you are in, and I think it's a great toolbox for me.
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you so much. Well, we look forward to seeing more puppets towards the end of the panel. Absolutely. Moving over to Angie, you mentioned to me earlier in one of our emails beforehand that you have used doodling in order to place orders at restaurants, similar to what, Stupid Me did several years ago in Japan. I want to know, how long does that take to actually happen? And how receptive have the servers been when you're drawing to them,
Yeah, so I would first say that it's not the best way to get exactly what you want for a meal. But the times that I've done it have always been in places where I don't even remotely speak the language. Like I can't read the menu. There's no picture menu. You kind of like street food. You pull up a chair. You're going to get some, like for me, it was in Asia. I'm going to get some kind of a noodle dish. I have no idea what's going to be in it. And I would say that the people aren't, the places I'm going aren't places that Western tourists usually go. And so there's a long sort of like lag in communication when the person is like, first of all, they're like, why is this Westerner sitting in my chair? And now what is she doing? And, I'm kind of like furiously gesturing and drawing and trying to get the person to come over and look. And eventually they get excited about it. They're like, oh, we're having this cross-cultural communication with this person I wouldn't normally interact with. And eventually kind of get on board. But I have to say that, all I'm really able to communicate is I want something in a bowl that will make me smile. Please bring it to me for breakfast. And so there's like the actual eating part. There's a piece that's, I have to be satisfied with whatever I'm given for breakfast at that particular moment, I don't, So, but I would say that the other place I've done that is, I was in Thailand and I was staying with a host family and we went fabric shopping, and I said I was going to make this into a bag. And the woman was like, well, I'll make the bag for you. So I sketched out a little bag and, she kind of like added some sketches and she pulled out her sewing machine and, created this bag, which unfortunately I don't have with me or I'd show you, so I've been able to use it cross-culturally in a number of different ways. And I think the other party in the conversation ends up feeling like something magical happened, right? Like they had an exchange that they couldn't have had if I hadn't had my markers with me.
That's so true. That's so true. Like they feel kind of brought into your world a little bit, kind of enjoying your own personal language, right?
Yeah. And that we've created something together, right? Like that just seems so easy to do with language, but once you have to do it differently, it ends up feeling really different.
Oh man. Oh, we got a question here. Do you always have your markers on you, like a markers and a little whiteboard or a pad?
I almost always have my markers with me. In fact, I was at the grocery store yesterday and I was pulling things out of my handbag, and just my handbag. And all of a sudden, all these markers fall on the ground, and I'm, picking them up.
Like,
I
leave me
usually try to
alone.
have,
I have a stationary fetish. What of it? Kind of a thing.
but I don't always have paper. But I think you can usually find something to draw on. I usually do,
Of course,
not always.
of course. Oh, that's awesome. So I'm going to move on to another question for everyone else. But while we're doing that, Angie, can you please share your screen so that people can get a glimpse of what you are currently working on? Thank you.
Sure.
So this is just an open question for the entire group. This is about cultural sensitivities and language. So here in Japan, grammatically, we don't use words like he or she so often when speaking about others, even if they are present in the room in the conversation. It's culturally acceptable, and completely normal to refer to everyone by their names, because using the term you is considered, a bit too familiar or casual in certain situations. So Japanese also lacks gendered words like you might find in Spanish or French or German. So when it comes to respecting everyone's pronouns, whether they're somewhere on the gender spectrum or on somewhere on the binary, there hasn't been that much of an adjustment period for people getting used to new identities here in Japan. So I would like to know about, in your own experiences, how have you managed to navigate respecting everyone's identity in your own particular lives, languages, and cultures where you are currently located? I'd like to throw that question to King first.
I think actually the situation in Hong Kong is quite similar to Japan, because like in our language, we don't have he or she. It's always either you or either by calling the name. And
Okay.
I think personally, I haven't faced that issue yet. So I really don't really know how to answer your questions for the moment.
Okay, cool. No, but that's very true. I guess a lot of Asian languages follow that kind of idea where they kind of stay away from the gender and they kind of just go directly. So that makes sense. Very cool.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Anne?
Well, German speakers and the German language, of course, I think there has to be a lot discussion about gender and gender diversity and pronouns. And I have to admit, I also had to learn over the last few years at teaching, so that I don't say, okay, and now the actors come on stage. So in German, you can say the actors as men and the actors as women. I include both, and then I include everyone else. And how can I do it? I really had to research that and had to talk to people. How can I include everyone when I'm teaching or when I'm coaching? But I think we have to do this work. So,
Absolutely,
and I
I totally agree.
the group is just feeling better and giving me the feedback of, you're doing a good job with it. So I think it's fine.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so true. Like when you're thinking about inclusivity and making sure everyone feels respected and seen, it's always good, as you said, just to talk to people directly and ask everyone, how do you feel about this? What do you want to change? What would you like? So you're using language, but still, that's nice.
Yeah. I really like to just being clear in your question and ask directly, how would you like to pronounce yourself? How can I introduce you? And just ask. So I like this.
Yeah. That's very true. I think a lot of people are afraid to ask sometimes because they don't want to, single anyone out. But there's always a moment to just, take someone aside and say, hey, I really like what you're doing and I want to involve you more. What can we do? So that's always fine. Cool. Thank you so much, Angie, for showing us your picture. It's super adorable so far. Thank you. I just had a quick question for yourself, though, Angie. I love the idea of you, attending, some serious events, like let's say a deposition, or a trial, or maybe therapy after a traumatic event. And okay, maybe this is getting too dark, but this is where I like to go. So hold on a second. And I'm imagining you like scribbling furiously in the background until you are finally called upon to show your final product. But I can imagine it can be tough to maybe concentrate on what is actually going on, as well as, being proud with the quality of your artwork at the same time. But have you ever made any big mistakes or cultural faux pas in the doodle that have caused maybe a positive or negative reaction to one of your clients?
So fortunately, most of my clients aren't doing like that really deep, like the work I do is a little silly, right? Like I draw doodles.
Okay.
And so most people have a pretty good attitude when they bring me in. But I have made some monster spelling mistakes that have really inspired the crowd. Like, for example, I work with national parks a lot. And there was a time where in letters that were, you know, like this tall, very big, I wrote the word visitation. But if you pause in the middle of writing visitation, you can actually accidentally write visitation. So it had this big word tit in the middle of visitation. And everybody in the room was sort of like, you know, it was enough of a professional conference that they weren't trying, you know, they weren't going to be like, you just made a boob in the middle of the room. You know, so anyway, everybody was kind of giggling softly to the side. And when the letters are that big, I do have a way to erase, but, you know, it just takes a really long time when they're big. And then the other thing I sometimes do is, you know, sometimes I draw really boring events like banking well, they're boring to me. I'm sure they're very interesting to the participants. Banking conferences or scientific conferences. And so every now and then I'll introduce little jokes in there that I think are funny. And there have been a few times when the speaker hasn't, like I'll make light of what they're talking about and they're kind of a serious person and they don't appreciate my sense of humor, but that's okay. Not every client calls you back.
That is very true. And not everyone has to be on the same page as you. You can be reading your own, enjoying it.
Absolutely.
That's perfectly fine. So I imagine when you had visitation, everyone in the audience is just like, am I okay? I'm okay. Okay, I'm okay. Just checking their own chests to make sure everything is going all right for the show. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Angie. So moving over to King down there, I'm sure a lot of people might imagine that, you know, working with puppets is super fun, not frustrating, always casual, always lighthearted, always a good time, always have a sexy goatee on your chin, you know, that kind of life, right? But I'm kind of interested in like the dark side of things. So like, has there been a situation in which a client or an audience or maybe someone you're working with was like, huh, why are you using puppets? Like they didn't respond positively to it?
Yeah, it happens all the time because I think especially in Asian country, and people look down on puppetry world. They think it's for kids. It's only for kids. It's some naive like guy or men or women that playing on toys and try to bring it to life. So when I like perform, either I perform in a mall or in a shopping mall or on a street, or even sometimes in a venue or in an event, people will think, okay, it's for kids, just go away. And people will think, sometimes it's quite cruel. Sometimes it's really cruel. And I remember once I was in this shopping mall. It was newly opened, and I was quite young at the time. It was my like second year into the field, working in the field, in the industry. So my job was to entertain people that comes into the mall, like to entertain either kids or parents. And then what happens all the time is the parents just drop the kids at my station. And they just go away for shopping for like an hour. So instantly, instead of like welcoming guests, I become like nursery station.
Exactly. Yeah. You turn into an automatic babysitter.
Exactly. And then, but then what I actually did is it's quite hard for me, like feeling wise, because I feel disrespected, and people just think, okay, you are a tool. So, but then what I like, it took me a long while to get used to it. And then I realized there's nothing I can do to change people's perspective about this industry, because it's in their mind, it's in their head, and it's in their tradition for years and years or even decades. What I can actually do is try to work on what I say with the puppet and what I do with the puppets, and try to bring more activities that involve the parents to join. And eventually, the parents joined. They had a great time with me.
That's cool. So like you're kind of introducing the idea to them that these are not only for children. Anyone can enjoy the idea of puppetry. It's just a character.
Yeah, and what I did is actually I comment on what they're wearing or what they're
Yes.
doing, and because it's puppetry, people are easier for what you say, so they don't feel offended easily if we're talking,
Mhm.
if you're using a puppet to talk to them, or even use puppet to even mock them. So and crazily they enjoy it. They enjoy being mocked.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
It is
I mean,
it is almost exactly the same with drag queens. If
mm,
you're wearing a wig and you're wearing makeup, you can say the most horrible things directly to people's faces and they're like, "I love it. Take my money."
exactly.
And it's the best. Oh,
Exactly. I think
interesting.
if I do all those jokes myself, I'll
Hmm.
get kicked out straight away.
Yes. Yeah, you're in
But with
trouble.
puppets, I can just do whatever I want, which is great, I think.
Interesting. That's so cool. So drag queens are very similar to puppets in the kind of industry of entertainment, except
It
we don't
is.
have anyone's hand up our butt until after the show. So it's just a
I
little
don't
bit
know.
different.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
okay.
I'll
Well,
check
that's
it out
depending on.
later. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just waiting to see how Katie translates that one. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yes. Yes, Katie.
Thank you so much, Katie. All right. I wanted to hop down to Anna real quick, and she was saying earlier that she was enjoying how she is watching bodies communicate with with each other when they're on stage, and how the communication comes out of just two bodies interacting on stage. And when I hear that, I automatically go to something sexual, something close, something intimate, because I'm like a child and my mind just goes straight to that. But I would like to know a little bit more about how you use bodies communicating in your theater, in your work, and how it's going for you.
I use it if I have no words for it to say, because you can show with your body if you're into someone, and I think like erotic stuff and sexy stuff is the most passionate and lovely communication between two bodies there it is, right? So. And we don't need to talk much there because I show you with my body what I like and you show me what you like, and I can also show you I don't like it, and I want to be alone, and I don't want
Mm,
you now involved. And I think it's so much, for me, it's so much more interesting to get in a scene with someone and discover what they wanted to say with their bodies, what they wanted to show, what story they want to tell. And you
mm,
can hop on then on this train. And I notice in teaching, I notice that it makes my students a little bit like a little more confident, just being there with the body and just confidence,
mm.
and not like, oh yeah, I'm an actor. Yeah, okay.
Sure, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that's so important. And just to show them, okay, if you just staying there and just be strong, you can tell so much more instead of just having a whole monologue with words and
Mm,
stuff.
mm.
And yeah, I think it's great, and it's going well because so much more interest comes now in this part of improv and theater, and that's nice.
That's really cool how people
Yeah.
have so much confidence through using their body. Because, if any of us can look back and maybe think about our first time on stage or the first time entering an improv scene, we either stay silent and just wait for someone to talk to us, or you come in and you just talk, 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 because that feels comfortable. If you're talking, I'm safe. So take away the language and only use your body, I think is very freeing and a good way
Yes.
to maybe train traditional actors as well.
Yes, totally. I think that should be a basic thing for traditional actors, and in it almost in most of the schools, it is like having really what's the actor's body. I'm also doing
Mm,
workshops on that. So yeah, because it's the first thing you see on stage.
that's very true. Um, King, have you ever not used any language in your own puppetry outside of Chinese theater?
Not with no, I haven't. Like with Westerner puppet, I always have to talk. Oh, actually, I make like giant puppets, so they are like around 4 meters tall, and obviously I can't talk with it, so I have to use the body language of the puppets to communicate with the audience.
Cool, cool. Do they get like a lot of hugs by children all the time?
Oh, yeah. They are like, my puppets suddenly become like honeys, and then the kids become like the bees, and all the kids just chase. Like, I didn't realize I could run so fast.
Perfect. I'm gonna move on to one more question to Angie real quick, but while we're doing that, King, everyone in the chat is dying to see either a picture of your 4-meter puppet or the actual 4-meter puppet. So if you can prepare something while we're waiting, I would love that.
Sure.
Angie, when I noticed a lot in the doodles that I checked on your website and all your socials, links in the chat, everyone, please follow. I noticed that you use a lot of text, to get those big main ideas out sometimes. Are there any situations in which you didn't use any text at all and tried to completely avoid that?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I think I do. And I was like, let me think about that. I think I do sort of rely, I land back on, so I'm not actually trained as an artist at all. And so I think I fall back on my words maybe more than I could I wish that you'd asked that in the very beginning and I would have done this whole thing without text. It's a great challenge.
Well,
so I think I always fall back on it. I know, I always fall back on text, but now that you've said that, I'm going to challenge myself to do one in the future without it.
Oh, fabulous. No, but I would too. If I were doing your job, I would take a big word and kind of like maybe go brainstormy and then use the one word as my inspiration and then small little pictures outside just to make sure everyone's on the same page, like that's the easiest idea, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the words do help focus people's attention because, here, let me share screen share again just a sec. But, if you look at this, like my guess is that you'd be seeing like bodies, pronouns, and then there's a few quotes here and there, and they just help focus people's attention in the same place in a way that I think images can tend to be a little bit, I mean, it's not all bad, but they can tend to be a little bit of a sea of images. And so the words help focus a few different ideas here and there.
That's true, yeah. It brings you into the main point and it gives you a connection to the pictures so you know where they're coming from. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly what you said, right? This having a few words to anchor your thoughts. Oh, that's what she's talking about here. That's what she's talking about here. I think can be really valuable.
Awesome, thank you. Just one quick question, kind of like an industry question. I see you're wearing kind of like a glove on your drawing hand. Can you explain to us a little bit what that is about? Is it because you're working on a tablet?
It is because I'm working on a tablet. So not and not everybody needs to wear it, but just the way that I draw, I tend to rest this part of my hand and this part of my hand on the tablet, but not the entire surface. And so the tablet, it gets confused and sometimes it'll make spurious marks if you wear a glove.
Okay. I always thought about that when I saw people drawing on tablets as well, because I love to touch everything when I'm drawing something. Interesting. Okay, so we learned a lot of things today. We learned Angie has wet, sweaty palms, and she needs to be sponsored to get a better tablet. We learned that King is often performing in the streets and parks, so somebody please hire him. He needs a job. He absolutely does. Oh, guys, ladies, kids, friends, family, we have a picture of the 4-meter puppet on the screen right now.
So this is a genie I made 6 years ago. So it's 4 meters tall, and the two arms and the hands can move like voluntarily, like people can, a puppeteer can operate it. You can actually see it at the bottom. Wow. There are 3 of us here. So if the audience,
where are you in the picture? I was in the puppet or in front of it?
I'm here. I'm in the middle.
Okay.
Yep. So if the audience get too close, the hand can actually smack them, which is great. And then I also, because this one is at night, So there's light in the puppet as well. And I actually programmed the face and the palm. So I have a smartphone in my pocket that I can change the color of the face and the palm according to the reaction of the audience to bounce back reaction, because obviously the puppet cannot talk. So what I can only do is use color as a language to communicate with the audience.
Yeah, okay. Is this done indoor on a stage?
No, it's actually outdoor.
What if it rains?
Actually in. Well, I'm basically fucked. because like the whole thing has to be off the ground, and I have to carry it because it's a parade, so I have to carry it to walk around for 2 hours nonstop. So so basically it's made of paper, so if it rains, although I made like insulating coating on top, but still it is paper, so if it's rain, I'm basically done for the whole show.
Well, I mean, that's cool. If you get tired or you're kind of sick of the parade, you're like, okay, let's hope it rains, I'm going home, kind of a moment.
Yep. Oh, I'm just pee on it.
Sure. You know, sometimes that's how I end my performances too, so I understand you. Yeah. No, tell us about this one. Is this a dragon?
You mean this one?
A peacock.
This one is dragon. So
cool.
This dragon I made, I think 4 years ago. And yeah, like I said, this time the puppeteer is actually inside the belly of the dragon. Okay, so you can kind of see the legs of the puppeteer here at the bottom of the dragon. Yeah. And then the wings can flap open and close. And this mechanics was actually inspired by Umbrella.
That's so super cool.
Yep. And then it also has, I also made a homemade portable smoke machine. So these smoke you see here, like up the nose, is actually the smoke I produce. It's not haze or something.
I love it. King, you are such an overachiever. Good work.
Yeah,
good
and then
work,
I have some peacock, which the feather at the tail will open and close.
Super cool.
And it's closed. And this is just one of the kids. You can see this is just one of the kids that's trying to hug the peacock. Then he realized the peacock is way too tall for him to hug.
Another similarity between drag queens and puppets. Don't touch us.
Exactly.
Don't touch.
Exactly.
Okay, that is fantastic. Thank you so much, King. If you guys are interested in any more of King's work, you can check it all out. I think Lauren shared his Facebook page in the chat, and you can check out all of his pics as well. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. So our lovely Shannon is back in the chat, and so we're going to have to cut it off here. But I just wanted to say thank you so much to Anne, King, and Angie for joining us today. Are there any quick last words you wanted to share with the group before we finish? I'll go to Anna first. We will go to the silent. Well, we will go to the doodle at the end. No problem.
Yes. Thank you so much for the panel. Thank you, Goma. It was so much fun. Thank you. And yeah, King, Angie, thank you for your interesting thoughts. Thank you for the great LSA SL interpret. And yeah, it was fun. And let's keep on moving.
Let's keep it moving, Queen. Let's keep it moving. Cool. King, last words. Go.
Just thank you very much. And by the way, I love your background, Goma. I just love it. I can't stop watching it.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I am an ethereal being. This is where I live. Okay.
This is whole package. Okay, it's a whole package.
This is the whole package. Yes.
Fantastic.
Angie, last words. Go for it.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for helping me think about getting into my body. And King, thank you for helping me think about the difference between like practiced work and improvisational work, like the joy and the practice and the reasons why we need to practice. And Goma, thank you so much for keeping it fun and lively and a little bit off color. I love that.
Yeah.
And
Can you show us the doodle before we finish? Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, everyone click that arrow to make it big so you can see it. Thank God you got my lipstick in. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Sorry, I can't get rid of myself. There we go.
Oh, we have King's Big Genie. Fabulous. The puppets are always fun and casual, right? No, sometimes they have an important message. Oh, that's super
Awesome.
cool. I love how tightly you've colored your text, like Creative Approach Summit. That's colored in really tight.
There's a trick for that.
Oh, is it like a paint bucket drop?
Kind of, yeah.
You cheater. Okay, I take back all my compliments, Angie. I don't care about you anymore. Goodbye. All right, goodbye. Thank you. All right,
Katie,
thank you all
for
so much for
translating.
attending, and thank you so much, Katie, for helping us out. I'll pass it back to Shannon.
Thank you so much, Goma, Ane, King, and Angie for being here.